right, we've got some exciting Miami Dolphins news for you guys. Of course, the Dolphins have been incredibly active so far this offseason, both cutting some players and adding some players as well. But their most recent move, I think maybe one of their most important. I think this may actually be the steal of the offseason. Let's get into the article, then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is according to Fansided. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler broke the news that the Dolphins were signing the top free agent corner on the board to a 2-year, $16.5 million deal. That's one other teams will regret not topping. Fuller played a huge role as a starter in the Chiefs secondary when they made back-to-back Super Bowls in 2018 and 2019. After establishing himself as a starter, Fuller signed a 4-year deal to return to the Washington Commanders. Now the Dolphins bring him aboard. Fuller will play alongside Jalen Ramsey, forming one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL. With Javon Holland and the newly signed Jordan Poyer joining them, the Dolphins have an argument for rostering the most talented secondary in the NFL. Pretty huge with how dynamic their offense can be. That's definitely saying something there. I think this is a massive, great move for the Miami Dolphins. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are. But first, Dolphins fans in the comment section below, now that we've seen a few days of this free agency period, we've seen players officially leave, we've seen players be officially added. How would you grade the Dolphins offseason so far up to this point? Do you love it? Give it an A. Do you absolutely hate it? Think it's terrible? You think it's an F? You're waiting for some more news or kind of neutral, maybe a B minus, whatever it may be. Grade the Dolphins offseason up to this point in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this move and what this signing means for the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, Nick, I think this just goes to show, people were worried when Xavier Howard left the Dolphins. What were they going to do? And I think this shows, first of all, they didn't need him. We addressed that as well. But second of all, Kendall Fuller is a mega upgrade over a guy like Xavier Howard. And I think now the Dolphins, as this article alluded to, have probably the most talented secondary in the NFL on paper. We got to see how it plays out, but they surely have the makings of a very complete secondary unit. Top to bottom, safeties to corners, even their slot corner, Cater Kohu, has been very good as well. But what I like most about this signing is this guy was probably one of the biggest top cornerbacks in free agency. Article alluded to that as well. And they signed him to what I feel like was an excellent deal. 2 years, $16.5 million, average annual value of it roughly $10 million per year, keeping it just under that mark. This is the 19th highest corner salary right now. I think this was a really big move for the Dolphins. This just shows incredible value, getting one of the best corners in all of free agency, bolstering your secondary at such great prices. This is how you keep that Super Bowl window open and add all of this talent like they have been doing while Tua is still on a relatively reasonable deal. Keep things rolling in, keep the numbers flowing, keep the depth going with all of these superstars around the ball. And that's how you're able to feed everybody. Get a couple of guys like Fuller who are able to take these very team-friendly deals, probably because he sees all the potential that the Dolphins have. But I think, once again, very smart move, and A, the quality of the signing, but B, the price they got him at.
So there's an effect that happens in sports where if a player is a good player, but they play on a great team, we overvalue them. We think that player is transcendent without realizing the team is transcendent. L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs that a lot of teams are trying to trade for, who wants a mega deal with Kansas City or wherever he ends up, has fallen under that effect. He's a good corner. He's not as good as Kendall Fuller, but because he plays on the Chiefs and we see him on prime time and we see him playing AFC Championship games and we see him playing Super Bowls, we all think he's this great player. That's not the case. He's a good corner. He's a top 20-ish corner, top 15 corner in the NFL, but he's not an elite. He's not a top 5 guy. He's not a top 8 guy like Kendall Fuller is. And smart teams like the Dolphins can take advantage of that in this situation. I think the Dolphins are being very smart here. Look, I know a lot of Miami fans can be very critical of Chris Greer. Sometimes it's warranted. This is not one of these cases. This is an incredible steal by Greer and the entire Dolphins front office, because Kendall Fuller is a guy who falls victim to the fact that he's played on a downright atrocious franchise the last 4 years. Right? He doesn't get to pad his stats playing against a backup quarterback in garbage time and get pick sixes like some of these better teams do with better records. He has to play against a team's top receiver most of the game. He has to play on a bad team that's changing coordinators and changing head coaches midseason. He doesn't get in a rhythm at all. His pass rush isn't very good. They traded away his pass rushers. He has no help at all. He's put in tough situations, and he still, according to PFF, was the 7th best corner in the National Football League last year. And if you combine 2022 and 2023, he is the 6th best. So again, the Miami Dolphins, like you said, Miles, they're getting the 6th best corner in the National Football League at number 19 corner prices. That is a steal. And I honestly think Kendall Fuller's ranking in PFF is lower than it really is in terms of how he performed. I actually got to see him a good bit play. He is a special corner that's just stuck in a terrible situation. He's sort of the cornerback version of Matthew Stafford. Everyone thought Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He goes to the Rams and people are like, whoa, MVP caliber guy. Kendall Fuller, I think, is the same kind of thing. Everyone's like, oh, Fuller, Washington corner. Yeah, he's pretty good, but he plays on a terrible team. Goes to Miami. He's going to be winning a lot of games, helping this team make the playoffs and hopefully make a playoff push. Suddenly, people are going to be like, whoa, where did Kendall Fuller come from? This is a fantastic move by the Miami Dolphins. I think there's no better way to say this. Xavier Howard was a great player for Miami for a long time, tailed off towards at the end, but I think this is a clear upgrade over Howard.